Real Virginia is produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Become a Farm Bureau member today.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Hello everyone and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce all the wonderful products we enjoy. The holiday season is here and we'll take you to a Grayson County Christmas tree farm to see how these beautiful trees are grown. Ginger is our theme food of the month, both locally grown ginger from the farm and a recipe for a ginger treat. And sweet potatoes are a popular menu item this time of year, and one farm is working to help feed the hungry with their harvest. Welcome back everyone. We are here at Hope Christmas Tree Farm, which is in Cumberland County, gearing up for the holiday season. And like everyone, we love to celebrate the holidays. As Norm Hyde reports, there's a Grayson County tree grower who says he's got the market cornered on the perfect Frasier Fir.
It's one of the most perfectly shaped Christmas trees.
We always consider Frasier Fir the Cadillac of the Christmas tree, you know.
And it's native to only a relatively small area in the Blue Ridge Mountains, making the Frasier Fir an important commodity in southwest Virginia. Rodney Richardson started Mount Rodgers Tree Farm with his late wife in 1980. Today he sells only Frasier Firs, but that wasn't always the case.
We started our business when ceiling was real hard to come by. We started with Scotch pine, Norway spruce, white pine, and we've just kind of evolved into all Frasier Fir. The other species are a nice tree, but Frasier Fir is a native to our area, and they grow the best in our area.
Richardson's farm produces nearly 20,000 trees a year, from 25 feet tall to tabletops only 1.5 feet or so. Richardson knows it takes a lot to grow a good Christmas tree.
For the first year, there are 5 needles and 1 bud. That's a year's worth of growth, which is not much. About 1 inch tall and 5 needles and 1 bud. Imagine that.
7 years after being planted, the tree can finally be harvested and sold.
Then you go through this process of harvest, which is the scariest part, you know. You have all these people that are counting on you to provide the trees for your mom and pop operations, or even myself. And you know, everybody wants their trees the day before Thanksgiving, and old Santa Claus, he runs on the 25th regardless. And if it comes a foot of snow and you can't get them out, you're in trouble, which has never happened to us. But you know, weather can be a problem.
The Virginia Christmas Tree Growers Association estimates about 1 to 2 million Virginia-grown Christmas trees are sold each year, with a wholesale value of $20 to $40 million. The economic impact of the Virginia Christmas tree industry may top $50 million when you add in fresh wreaths and garland. Richardson's trees are a big part of that industry. You can find them at Richmond grocery stores, and he owns a retail shop in Manassas. And each of the 1,200 Frasier Firs in Busch Gardens Christmastown in Williamsburg is cultivated and grown by Richardson. Even after more than 20 years of growing Frasier Firs, Richardson says the time and effort put into caring for each tree can make it emotional come harvest time.
Yeah, you kind of hate to cut that old pretty tree that you've cultured all these years, and there you're going to cut it down and send it off. You know?
In Grayson County, Virginia, I'm Norm Hyde. Grayson County is a mountainous region just north of the intersection of the North Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia state lines. It's cattle country with more than 27 head of cattle and calves and 1,700 dairy cattle. Hay is the principal crop in this region. Grayson County farmers raise almost $24 million worth of hay each year. Christmas trees, nurseries, and farmers markets also generate income for farmers in Grayson County, Virginia.
Pine trees like this one are great for any holiday decorations. Our Mark Viette shows us how to use a pine branch to create a door swag in the garden.
My favorite plants to use to create a swag might be the Hetzi juniper or one of the firs like the Nordman fir. But to decorate those swags, you're going to need some bright colors, like some of the Chamaecyparis or cypress, and just go in your garden. These are plants growing for years, and this plant might be 20 years old, but you can start to plant new ones in your own garden if you want. And I just reach in and get some of this bright color. It's easy. I like it to the long, nice growths with the beautiful tips. And there's other plants I can use, even the other cypress right here, which is beautiful. And just reach in, and I only cut about 10%, so every year I have more to cut. But look at the colors that you have on this. So you go ahead, harvest all your greens at one time, and then you're ready to decorate your own swags. Firs make great swags. So just, again, get 2 to 4 nice flat branches. Just reach in and just take your time picking the right branch so you end up with something that looks just like this. I said this was easy, and it is easy. It took longer getting everything set together than to make a swag. One of the things that you can do is you can get your own pine cones, and this is the black pine, and wire them with heavy wire. You put the wire around the base and you turn it a couple times with the pliers. Or you can use your eastern white pine. Great. Real easy to use. This was the nice fir, nice flat, sort of somewhat perfect dimensional, but you can even use something more narrow if need be. And what I'm going to do is take my greens just like this. It's that simple. Just go ahead, wire this together. You might get a pliers and tighten it up if need be. So you've got this laid right on top of this. Then all you need to do is decorate it. Sometimes I put the bow on the end, but I'm going to put the bow on in the beginning. And that's going to cover the cut portion of what I've done. I'm going to add a couple things to it so it looks a little more natural. I'm going to add some cones at the base, which have been wired together. And I'm just going to come in here. This wire is really hidden, so you don't really see the wire. Make this one maybe a little more symmetrical. You don't have to be symmetrical on your decorations. You can use different things. But I want to brighten this up just a little. So you can get these balls. Again, I like to use them in groups of 3, and I'm going to build them into this right near the top. And then you've got something like this that you can hang on a front door. These are also great to hang in windows. Now, what I will do, right before I possibly put the bow on, I will go ahead and use a product, something like Wilt Stop. This is a spray that preserves the needles, and it allows them to stay about 3 times longer than normal. So it can last or make a swag like this last for 6 weeks. So you do want to spray or dip it in a product that preserves the foliage. It's that simple. You can do it with your junipers, you can do it with other types of plant material in your own garden, and it's that easy. I'm Mark Viette. Join me next time in the garden.
For more garden tips, go to inthegardenradio.com.
Up next on Real Virginia, Kendra Bailey Morris uses Virginia ginger root in a holiday party dish in the heart of the home.
It's going to cost less to feed your family a traditional holiday meal this year, 80 cents less to be exact. The Virginia Farm Bureau released its annual survey of grocery stores and the prices on festive foods. The statewide survey shows feeding a group of 10 adults will cost $47.23. The menu includes turkey, dressing, sweet potatoes, rolls, peas, and cranberries. It also includes a relish tray of carrots and celery, and of course, pumpkin pie with whipped cream. The survey found the highest average cost for a holiday meal was in Chesapeake at $55.86. The cheapest cost, $39.22 in Middlesex County.
We have highlighted ginger root throughout our show, but did you know you can grow it in your own garden? Andy Hankins shows us how with one local farmer from the ground up.
Today we're at Dayspring Farm in King and Queen County talking with Charlie Maloney about growing ginger. You know, Charlie, I always think of ginger as being a tropical plant. Can it be grown as a commercial crop in Virginia?
Well, it most certainly can. This is the second year we've done it here, and it has. We've demonstrated, I think, here in our production that it can be grown here.
But we're in a high tunnel greenhouse. Is
Yes.
that absolutely required for ginger production?
Well, if you're going to grow it, throughout through the whole season, so that it gets to the place where it's going to be more mature, you do need some type of structure that's going to add heat. But you wouldn't have to have necessarily a structure like this. I mean, you could have a much smaller greenhouse, or you could have something just added, to the side of your home, or a sunroom that was also kind of able to double as a heated kind of space. That would be fine.
When were these plants established?
These were actually started back in February, about the middle of February last year. We started with some seed stock, which was ginger that was harvested from last year. We harvested it 1 week, and then we cut it up in pieces that were like about 3 or 4 ounces big.
Tell us about harvesting ginger.
Well, we dig up the whole plant. That is one thing about the ginger, is that you can't harvest just a part of it. You have to dig up the whole plant, but it comes out of the ground quite easily, just as we saw there. And we just take a shovel and dig up the whole plant at one time, pull it up, and then we initially just pull off here in the greenhouse the soil that's loosest and able to get off.
All right. So we have a big clump of ginger here.
Yes.
What did you start with? When we started last, what was it, February? What
February, that's right.
what did you plant?
We started with this kind of piece right here, which you see is a little bit darker. This was the seed stock, the seed piece of the ginger. Now this actually came from our ginger that we had last year. We saved back about 40-50 pounds of ginger from our last year's crop. We broke it up into pieces that were about 3 or 4 ounces. We planted these about 3 feet apart, and we made a trench here in the greenhouse that was about 1 foot deep.
Okay.
And in the trench, we put down a really rich compost. We were able to procure a good mushroom compost.
Good.
They do like a good deal of fertility, so it's important to start out with that. Of course, eventually you have to actually ridge them up. It is important to keep hilling them up. You don't want the ginger to be exposed to the sunlight. It will turn kind of greenish,
Okay.
and it won't grow as well. You need to water it regularly. It does take a lot of water, yes. But you don't want it to get wet. I mean, you don't want it to be sitting in damp soil. Or really wet soil, but you do want to keep a lot of moisture on it.
This freshly dug baby ginger, or how long can we keep that before it spoils?
We recommend to people that they use it within 2 weeks, but we have heard from folks that have kept it longer than that, and it's still been fine. But it's at its best quality if you use it, within that time. And we suggest to people that they keep it in the refrigerator. It's important to keep it cool. And just in a plastic bag, something that's probably left a little bit open is better than closing it up too much, because it will collect moisture if it's too tight.
For more information about growing fresh ginger, contact Cooperative Extension at Virginia State University. This is Andy Hankins. We'll see you next time from the ground up.
That was the last show we taped with Andy before he passed away just a week later. He was an amazing person, a very kind-hearted and caring person, and he will be sorely missed by the entire Virginia agriculture community. But there was one thing that Andy loved, and that was the love of agriculture and the love of the farmers that produce all these wonderful foods that we eat. And he was proud to say that he was a part of Real Virginia. Many of us love entertaining in our homes during the holidays, and our Kendra Bailey Morris has some great suggestions for a holiday hors d'oeuvre using ginger root in the heart of the home.
Hi, I'm Kendra Bailey Morris for the Heart of the Home, and today we're going to be working with fresh Virginia ginger. And this is fresh ginger root that's grown right here in the state. And what we're going to be making today is kind of what I like to call a bit of a fusion dish. It's a little bit Hispanic in nature, and it's a little bit Asian, and it all comes together real beautifully. So what we're going to be making today are twice fried plantains. and it's topped with tuna tartare, and then it's topped with guacamole. And this is the perfect hors d'oeuvre appetizer for the holidays or even in the summer, especially if you could get a hold of really nice fresh tuna. And it's wonderful. It seems like an odd combination, but trust me, it's great. So what we're going to start by doing is we're going to begin by frying some of these plantains. And plantains are not exactly like bananas, so you want to make sure that you're using plantains and not using bananas. So I've got some peanut oil going here in a pan, and I've sliced some of these plantains up, and I'm just going to drop them in here. And these are twice fried, so this is going to be the first fry. And they move pretty quickly. Turn it down just a hair, because we're going to fry them again, so you want to make sure you don't burn them. And one thing about plantains is that oftentimes, especially when they're green, it's a little difficult to get the peel. And this is a little trick. I just cut the ends off, and then you score it. And you can slide your finger up underneath and work your way all the way around, and your peel will come right off very easily. Now these are cooking up very quickly, so I'm going to take these out as I cook them, like so. I'm going to do one more batch here real quickly. While this is going, I'm going to make the tuna tartare. And this tuna tartare is basically a combination of onions, and this is where we're going to use our fresh ginger. So I'm going to have a combination of soy sauce, going to have some sesame oil, which I love sesame oil. This is some fresh grated, just sweet onion, and some green onions. And then we're going to add in a very small amount of sriracha sauce. And sriracha sauce is basically like a red chili sauce, and it has a punch, trust me. So you want to be careful and not use too much. If you like it spicy, add more. Okay, these are looking good. So I'm going to take these out. And we're just going to let these rest for just a moment before we do the second fry. Meanwhile, I'm going to add our ingredient of the day, which is the ginger. And I love to grate it. Grated ginger is so much nicer, in my opinion, than mincing it, because a lot of times when you mince it or chop it, you're going to get kind of that fibrous chewiness to it, and that's not always appealing when you're eating. But this ginger, when you grate it, looks just like this, and it's really, really wonderful. It has a really strong flavor, because you get a lot of gingeriness in it without having to have those chewy pieces in there. So this is done, and I'm going to toss this together. I'm going to add a little bit of black pepper, no salt, because I've got soy sauce in there. But you definitely want to make sure you have sushi grade, really good quality fresh tuna, because this is completely raw. You can make this several hours ahead, absolutely. It does better when it chills in the fridge for a little while. Okay. The next thing that we're going to make is just a basic guacamole, and that's what's going to go on top of the tartare that's on top of our fried plantains. So the way I like to make guacamole is kind of chunky. I am just going to take this guac, and I'm going to add some minced hot pepper, some jalapeno. If you have it, you use any hot pepper that you want, and some garlic. And this is finely minced. And then I'm going to give it a squeeze of lime, not too much, just a little bit. A generous amount of salt, sea salt. And this is good on its own, just like this, but I'm going to up the ante just a little bit and add some fresh cilantro. And when you're mincing herbs like this, if you want to get kind of a finer mince, if you just make it into a little ball, I'm just going to do about a tablespoon or so. And I've got 2 avocados here. And so you can add a little bit more or less depending on your taste. Meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and begin flattening some of these for the second fry. I'm just going to take a couple and show you as an example. You could use a meat tenderizer to do this, obviously the flat side, not the serrated side, but you can just use a bowl if you have that. And this is about the consistency that you're looking for. You want them to be thin enough so they're crispy, but not so thin that they fall apart, so don't beat them to death. You can get a little bit of aggression out if you like, but not too much. So I'm going to go ahead and do these in the second fry, and when we come back, we'll assemble our dish and it'll be done. So we've done a batch here, and this is what you're looking for when you're finished. You want it to be crispy, and you want it to be cooked all the way through so you don't have that starchiness. Like when they're at this stage, they're going to be way too starchy to eat. So it is very important to do the twice fry on this. Plus, these are really, really lovely when they are fried twice. Arguably, everything's really lovely when it's fried twice. Now I'm just going to make some of these right here, and I'm going to place a little spoonful of the tartare on top of each of these. Next, I'm going to top each with a little dollop of the guacamole, and it makes for such a pretty color. Finally, I'm just going to give a little sprinkling of herbs around the plate, just to give it a little bit more color and brighten things up. You could do a little squeeze of sriracha around the plate as well if you wanted to. All right, and here you have it. Twice fried plantains with tuna tartare and homemade guacamole. It's a perfect party appetizer. I encourage you to give it a try, even though it's a little bit different.
Recipes from the heart of the home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafarmbureau.org.
Unfortunately, many people are having to turn to their local food banks to feed their families this year. But one Northern Virginia community farm is helping to feed those families while also providing a traditional holiday favorite.
Many farmers truly live by the old saying, you reap what you sow. For volunteers working at the Fauquier Education Farm, those words are true throughout the year. The farm is an educational outlet for master gardeners and works to promote agriculture with hands-on learning.
The food that we grow here at the education farm is harvested and it's donated to local food banks. And so we're always looking for food that is, one, that's easy to produce and easy to harvest and that people enjoy.
Following a very successful white potato harvest, volunteers were harvesting nearly 1,000 pounds of sweet potatoes in late fall for area food banks during the holidays. Considered a root vegetable, it is a healthy and easy to prepare option for families.
Yeah, they've got vitamins in them and lots of fiber, and you know, they're very nutritious as well. And it stores well too. I think that's another benefit. We can harvest this 1,000 pounds or so today, and then the food bank can have it for a month or more, because they don't have the need to give 1,000 pounds of sweet potatoes away today, but they may have a need to give away 150 pounds.
In Fauquier County, more than 2,000 people are served each month at the local food bank. Of those, more than 650 are children. For Hillary and other volunteers at the farm, this is their way of bringing some comfort and tradition for families in need.
It's nice to be able to provide them with a food that they can associate perhaps with better times, again, it's tradition, so it speaks to the spirit of the holidays, and it's nice to be able to do that.
The education farm began 4 years ago on an old dairy that's been improved with the help of everyone in the local farming community. The program is expanding each year and has helped to strengthen ties between farmers and the rest of this Northern Virginia community.
We're so glad you could join us to celebrate all the bounty that Virginia has to offer, whether it's in your kitchen, your garden, or your landscape. We're so proud to bring you the stories that make this real Virginia. So for everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a good month.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay.